Here we go.
You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
Little
John Doe Radio.
I lost my job last night. Picked up my paycheck, but 35% of it gone already, cause Uncle said they get paid yet. Mom and them bitching about this rent, I ain't even gon' say shit. And half of what is left goes to her, cause I ain't use that latex, damn. Cheese sandwich and chips, Slim just spilled his drink in my Toyota 96. Well, at least that blunt is lit, don't they say life is what you make it? I'm trying to make it money, and ride through my hood clean as Easter Sunday, that's what's up.
All my dreamers, put your hands in the sky. All my dreamers, put your hands in the sky. One time. All my dreamers, put your hands in the sky. All my dreamers, put your hands in the sky. One time. For the bullshit that you came from, worked hard to get away from, but the devil's there and you just can't seem to shake up. For the long night that you stayed up, thinking about that paper, crushing liquor, split it, light it, blaze up. From the mind of a stoner, from the mind of a stoner, simple thoughts from a loner, simple thoughts from a loner, just the mind of a stoner, from the mind of a stoner, simple thoughts from a loner, simple thoughts from a loner.
Parents aren't doing much now since little brother got locked up, and I'm stuck smoking this mid, waiting for the weed man to get stocked up, and my girl canceled on me. Said something else popped up, and I can't get with my ex now cause her ring finger all rocked up. Dang. No one likes you when you're 23 without a plan. Sit around in apartments all day smoking weed, and I'm like, bitch, don't kill my vibe. Bitch, don't kill my vibe till I scroll out in my Subaru, and in the rear view is them lights. Red, white, blue, same color as our flag. The ones that they say salute, but the ones that's whooping my ass. And the same days that I'm happy is the same days that I'm mad, cause I can't go 24 hours without shit happening to my ass. Get high.
All my dreamers, put your hands in the sky. All my dreamers, put your hands in the sky. One time. All my dreamers, put your hands in the sky. All my dreamers, put your hands in the sky. One time. For the bullshit that you came from, worked hard to get away from, but the devil's there and you just can't seem to shake up. For the long night that you stayed up, thinking about that paper, crushing liquor, split it, light it, blaze up. From the mind of a stoner, from the mind of a stoner, simple thoughts from a loner, simple thoughts from a loner, just the mind of a stoner, from the mind of a stoner, simple thoughts from a loner, simple thoughts from a loner.
Rolling up this weed,
Simple thoughts from a loner.
thinking about life, and you know what? I'm good. Yeah.
The human brain is made for thinking, not pubic experience. It's hardly a tinker toy for experimenting. It's not pubic with drugs.
Why do we talk about marijuana? It's the single biggest drug that is the source of some confusion.
This is really about educating the public about the fact that marijuana is a less harmful drug.
Marijuana has to get high.
You can be as high as you want.
Prohibition of marijuana over the last 71 years has not actually prevented you from using marijuana.
You feel weak.
Closer to winning the war on drugs.
I do believe there have been some successes.
We will never arrest our way out of this problem.
Welcome to the John Doe Radio Show. I am your host, John Doe. Thank you very, very much for hanging out with me on this lovely Tuesday in the Mile High. Sorry, I was a bit under the weather here. I think Thursday, obviously, you could tell that I felt like absolute shiz. And then Friday, I could not make it out the door. I really tried. And then on Monday, it was just chaos and needed to take care of some things and really just take a day off and take a day break and regroup with some things. You'll notice Bike's not with us, and I'm not saying Bike's not going to be with us ever again. I guess that would come down to a conversation that Bike and I would need to have together, but that's neither here nor there. I don't want to go into that. We're not going to talk about that. Solo Loco JDR today, and until we really can work something out, probably with Murphy Murray. Right now, she needs people that are badged here in the state of Colorado. She needs people that are responsible, that can do good business, that can show up, that can get paid to work in the marijuana industry. Why the fuck is it so hard for you stoners to come to work in the marijuana industry? What is wrong with you? Why is it so hard that there is this ridiculous turnover for everything? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's every single dispensary. Excuse me, it's amazing the first time in a long time I actually lost my voice. But every single shop owner that I know of tells me the same exact thing. That people don't show up for work. They think that this is just some lackadaisical, happy-go-lucky business that, you can just get away with doing almost nothing with, when in fact, no, there's a lot more oversight in this business than in a lot of other businesses, period. So it would be nice to find people that can fill our good friends' employment opportunities for you. So Murphy Murray on Facebook with Daisy's Edibles, if you would like to maybe sign up with her. She needs good people, man. My taxes and a student loan are completely kicking me in the cojones right now. Whether that's a lame excuse or not, it is. But also, hold on, let me write something down here. Business Symposium. And then employee quals. That's a G, not a Q. Quals. Because something that I learned this weekend when I went to this business symposium over at Castleman's put on by Cloverleaf and a bunch of other people, I learned quite a bit of things. I also listened to a lot of people bitch and bicker about the taxes that are coming up here in November, which is absolutely ridiculous. I stood up and told everybody to shut the fuck up. No, I mean, I really didn't tell everybody to shut the fuck up, but I did throw down the numbers that we've been talking about here on the John Doe Radio Show for months. The real numbers, not the numbers that CSU came out with that were like, oh yeah, maybe we'll come up with this. Oh, there's not going to be enough money to cover this. When bullshit. $2 billion a year estimated industry. Do the math on that. I'm a dumbass when it comes to math, but that's somebody overheard something like 200 to 500 billion in taxes alone covers the 40 million that the voters voted on. Well more than covers that $40 million that voters wanted in the Amendment 64 election this past year. Few people will have on the show, including Sam, Samantha Walsh, who is a lobbyist for hemp, overall lobbyist. Very much so pushing forward for these taxes when they are not needed. I am not willing to have our side tipped upside down and say, tax the hell out of them. That's what they wanted. No, that is not what we wanted. We told you that if you legalize something, that if you created a regulatory system, that there would be taxes there. Take those taxes, not dump us upside down, take our pockets off, rip our pants off, maybe the rip the pants off part wouldn't be so bad, but either way, you get what I'm trying to say. It's ridiculous. I will not allow it to happen, and I will be as vocal as I possibly can through all of it. People not so happy with me over at the business symposium, and I was told as I was handed the mic to be nice. My reputation precedes me. But I made a good statement and got applauded for it. So I'm going to try and pay attention to the chat room, but the thing is, like, the more I pay attention to the chat room, sometimes the more I'll absolutely be distracted and lose my train of thought from everywhere where I was going. Cramped asking, is it because Tim is just crazy then? I don't know what he says. Anyway, yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Could be because I'm crazy. I mean, isn't that maybe why some of you sit and listen to us, come in and hang out, right? Because I am a crazy bastard. The downloads... Oh, shoot, I just shot my pen across the table. Sorry. I'm trying to remember here. I had other note to write. Business symposium, employee qualifications. Tons of news to talk to you about today. 11/11, by the way. I don't have any fuego. No fire. Damn, the only thing that I have is this, and it's about done. There's no way I could heat a nail. Somebody double hit the 11/11 for me. Tons of news come across. Denver and regulators have no clue how many legal dispensaries are open if you're operating legally. So I guess here what it comes down to is that you really didn't need a license to operate up until now here in Colorado. You could have risked it, and really the risk wasn't that big because nobody's really checking up on you until now. Maybe now that they checked up on you and found that you screwed up this whole time, you could have some serious charges brought against you. Fucking just the failure after failure after failure of audits showing these failures in the system of seed to sale and licensing and regulatory here in Colorado. It's like, what the fuck? It becomes hard to a certain point to come to the defense of what we're doing here. Besides saying the sky is not falling, the shiz is not falling apart, things are not going crazy. The only thing going bad maybe is that people are not following the rules and still committing criminal acts. And then, yeah, punish them for that. But still, in the end, don't kill the whole system. We're obviously been able to have a successful system to this point in time and do well to this point in time. So let's find the gap and fill it. Maybe it just is that people in Colorado and the regulators just honestly are part of the rest of us and don't give a shit about cannabis and know it's a bunch of bullshit to try and throw a bunch of money and care and worry into it. Another reason why I'm not willing to pass these taxes, 10, 15%, in some places up to 40% of a tax rate that you will have to pay when you come here to buy in Colorado, including Boulder, one of the biggest ones. I don't want that money to go to these regulators, fill their coffers, fill their accounts endlessly, needlessly. Taxation without representation. The perfect example right there. Taxing people, putting it into an account for later use. That's bullshit. That's not how the country was founded. That's unconstitutional. It should not happen. It's a joke. So anyway, here in also in about, Cramped is asking, is this listening to Tim only for 3 hours? I didn't know we did a 3-hour show. I mean, you could do a 3-hour show if you want. Just need to pick up a little bit more sponsorship so I can leave the job next door. Here in about a half an hour, or not a half an hour, I guess it's already 15 past the hour, I'm going to have my good friend Shaun Hadley, who I've known for quite a long time, since before I moved here back to Denver. He owns a dispensary up in Craig, Colorado. I was numero uno for medical marijuana patients in this area of Colorado. I was the first medically licensed, medically recommended person to have a red card in this area. And obviously, you know my story of me pushing the limits a little bit and getting busted, selling to someone I shouldn't have. Well, Shaun came in, and luckily the bullshit that I created for the city of maybe like creating a doubt that, look, this asshat right here is the first guy in the town and he went and misused it as it is. And luckily with good people, you know, like Shaun, people grassroots support, even in small town, backcountry as you can in Colorado. I mean, I absolutely deplore this place. I hate it. It's a big black hole in the history of John Doe. I mean, not even kidding you. Now, between that, the lady situation that I was in that. I mean, literally drove. It was like you drove into the ditch and you couldn't get out of the ditch for so long, and then you kept trying to get out, and like if you didn't keep trying to get out, you weren't gonna get out anyway, and just somehow you missed so many different poles in that ditch along the way, and then all of a sudden finally it took so long to get out of that ditch, and there were so many poles, just eventually just smack that bitch head first. And that's what I did. It seems to be a common theme in my life, the life of John Doe. So we'll talk with him about that and how he tonight is a big city council meeting, and we'll talk about not only the city council meeting in Craig, but city council meetings in Colorado Springs. Big town Colorado Springs is. If they ban sales, what that does for that community and who it sends to Denver is just enormous. And it looks like they're probably going to ban retail sales unless grassroots comes back to fight it. So Shaun's going to talk with us about the laws there, the fight that he's had with the city council. I've reported, most of the Associated Press reporting I've done, serious reporting that I've done besides cannabis, has been in that area. And I really do recognize and understand the difficulty in the politics that one has to go through in order to get something done that's, a little bit taboo. So, and they've done a great job. Shaun gone through, him and his ex gone through some really tumultuous times. You know what I'm saying? Both great friends of mine. Shaun helped me get out of probation, try and get out of probation. I still owe him. When I tried to bail out of probation early, they wouldn't let me, and he even tried to pay it off early. So, anyway. So, hopefully we'll have some good news for you guys today. Another thing about that symposium, and if you're looking to be employed here in Colorado, this is huge, important, huge news that I found out this weekend. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome, awesome, awesome news that I have for you. If you would like to be employed and you all worried about felony status and owing taxes and owing student loans or whatever it is, bada bing, bada bang. If your felony is no longer a felony in the state of Colorado, it's wiped from your eligibility for being employed as a recreational retail sales person. That includes ownership. We told you about that. But something else that I didn't know necessarily until this weekend, backed taxes don't apply and student loans don't apply, from what I understand. So those of you that may have some situations with some taxes, student loans, sorry, feds. That's great, fantastic news for you. So, anybody that would like to get a job in this industry should be able to get that job, so barring, any ridiculousness that you may have had to go through here recently, whatever. It's great news. So that's awesome news for you. Just do me one favor. Be good employees. Please, just be good employees. Do what you can do and be an ambassador to this industry. And chat room, don't worry. I mean, it's not just going to be me all the time in here. I've got very, very, very good talks and chats in with Adam Dunn. Murphy will be here. I got a few other hosts that I think that, that I think you guys are going to enjoy. So, and it's not to say that that's the end of Bike. It's really honestly up to a conversation and the willingness for things to happen in certain ways. Anyway, I know I'm doing fine. I'm doing great. I'm actually having a fantastic show today. A fantastic show today. Do apologize again, just flat out to High Times for the way that I put the statement that I put last week and the way that I did it. It was selfish. It sounded like a baby. I sounded like a bitch. And those are my good friends. And really. I mean, it was a bad way to put things. And I had a long conversation with Danny Danko, and whether or not he's still unhappy with me, I wouldn't blame him. So I apologize to High Times. My nose is running. Can't get rid of this stupid nose run. Hold on, I need to mute myself. All right. Got like 8 or 9 minutes to kill here. What else did I have? Something interesting this weekend that I came across this weekend was a new absolute love for flowers again. I mean, I've been talking about how I enjoy the flowers more and more, but I've been lucky enough to be brought these harvests from people, you know, that have started taking over grows that have deserved to be taken over grows. There's finally these shops that are like, all right, we can't just hire my buddy's friend's buddy who grew 3 plants in his back room back in like 87 to grow my supply for me. So not only that, but the people that have also been creating their own private stocks and their own private houses. Hold on, I just remembered something else too. 6 and 6 legal. Remind me of that. People that have been growing their own private stocks back in their, you know, legally in their closets and all that, and the good growers have kind of been handing over some of their spoils to me here lately as I've been going out and hanging out, you know, with friends again and hanging out at the Hood Lab. And yesterday, I've been smoking a lot of oil lately. Yesterday, I ripped 3 bowls through a Halen Cirque of this. It's like this train wreck cross that I got, and I swear I was launched outer space, unable to even walk at this point in time. I mean, it was one thing to have to be just blasted away by a dab, but this full encompassing high of this train wreck, just the heady all the way down to my feet. I mean, I felt like I was in a damn UFO. And that's my new way of describing the a certain highness as being on that UFO. Everybody's like, no dabs for Tim without bike. I got dabs. I just don't have a torch in here. I forgot to torch at home. Oh well. So you can dab. A little dab-a-do. Yeah. That didn't really show anything there. Weird getting used to a new camera. It's also funky here too. There's people walking all around outside the studio. There's a what is it? The THCF Foundation signing people up to be cannabis patients. So if I get distracted by people walking by and them looking in at me like I'm an animal, then please forgive me. I think I mentioned this before, but like one of my first gigs of radio was inside of a mall, a strip mall in Craig, Colorado, which maybe we could talk to Shaun about this too. Is inside this strip mall, and you walk inside the strip mall, and there's like, you know how there's that window behind bike, or where it was behind bike. I'll show you right there. Well, there's like that window right there leading out into the strip mall. So it's like anybody and their mother could just come up and watch you. And dude, the craziest shit was in like these like 15 like little kids would just come up, and they'd be like, their face would be up against the window, be like, this is so cool. I can't believe I get to watch. And it's like they leave and it's big. I don't know how to do this sucking, like, I don't know how to do a popping like your mouth would pop off a glass noise. I can't do it. Let me try it one more time. There we go. And yeah, And that always cracked me up. But the weird part was where the dude would just stand there and watch you. Like, just dude, cowboy. I wish you had drapes to, like, close that shiz. Like, you're making me feel nervous, dude. You walk away. That is weird, man. I can't, like, people sitting here watching this thing. It makes me fall apart. Knowing that there are thousands of people every day downloading this and not giving a damn. I guess, I don't know. Anyway. Thanks, Cramped. I'll just have to pay attention to the chat for when when it's time for me to just be interrupted and stop my ridiculous rant. I don't use the R word because it's a bad word. You can get people in trouble saying the R word. Thanks for hanging out with us on the John Doe Radio Show. We do it live in the Mile High. It's a Tuesday, July 23rd. I'm behind a few days because I missed a few days. Sorry about that. Back with you. It's all good now. Also, big thanks to our sponsors that make the John Doe Radio Show possible. Couldn't do without you, the listeners, every day. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. Ow, allergies, dude. Thanks for hanging out with us. Big, massive thanks to Compassionate Pain Management, one of our longest sponsors here on the John Doe Radio Show. Been around for over a year helping us out here on the show. CompassionatePM.com, 2 locations in Lakewood and Louisville. They got some cool things coming up that I'll be able to talk to you guys about here in the future. I can't wait, and I'm very proud of our good friends over at Compassionate Pain Management. CompassionatePM.com. Good times, good people. Sorry, I had to blow my nose. It's all those fecal mites. Also, we got good friends over at Element 420 that make the best CO2 extract that you could get. In fact, I don't recommend that you go with anybody else that makes any CO2 extract if it's not Evo Lab and Element 420, because I'm telling you right now, man, that did not do me well when I smoked it the last time. I mean, it hurt. Like, hurt. I may have had walking pneumonia, and then now it just, dissipated here, here recently. Don't go with anybody else. Please, don't. At least these people do it right. Element 420, Element FOUR20.com, Element FOUR20.com. Tell them JDR sent you, by the way. They got great specials. Get like 3 grams for like ridiculous price. Also, like one of our last but not least awesome sponsors that I mentioned, that's a dispensary. Make sure you check them out. Kind Love. Stay Concentrated, one of the best concentrate companies that there is out on the market, period. Not to mention that Kind Love's bud is mentioned in some of the top dispensaries, and time after time again, you hear a few other dispensaries. I'm not going to mention them right now because we're pushing for Kind Love, but I hear blah, 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 and then Kind Love in the same sentences, and Stay Concentrated, just worth it themselves. Don't miss that. MMJDenver.net for more information. MMJDenver.net for hours and other information. All these great people can be found on Weed Maps too, by the way. Menus, all that good stuff. So, thank you. Also, Warren Edson. Big thanks to Warren Edson. Edson, Maton, and Matz. They have criminal defense representation for you in Aspen if you need. Also here in Denver and surrounding areas, family business, cannabis consultation. Yep. Warren's the man. All right, let's see if I haven't called somebody in a minute. Make sure I got the right damn things going here. I don't think I do, though. Ring, ring-a-ding-ding-a-ling. Woo! Calling Shaun Hadley. Craig Apothecary in Craig, Colorado.
Oh.
Shaun Hadley, this is Tim from John Doe Radio.
Tim Martin, how you doing, man?
Doing fantastic, man. I haven't talked with you in a little while.
Minute, man, for sure.
Hey, how I know you is you're one of the first. Well, you're the only dispensary open in Colorado. You helped me get through my whole shiz of when I went through my thing, which don't think I still haven't forgot that I owe you 10 million times and above and beyond. So it's
no worries, man. We all came from the same spot.
It's ridiculous. So Shaun Hadley, one of the first dispensary owners up in Northwest Colorado. A great friend to the community, fought very hard for his shop to stay open, and now, fighting hard for recreational cannabis sales to be allowed in this town, and one of the first things I kind of wanted to talk to you about was, let's start from the beginning. What was it like in a town where it's kind of small, rednecky? They have this stigma when it comes to marijuana. There was a drug task force in the town, still is a drug task force. They hate, pot. They hate drugs. I mean, what did it take?
You
there, buddy?
And,
losing you there.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. That's another thing.
Yeah,
is,
when we
Craig.
first went to these city council meetings, man, it was like the shit we see in movies, man. I mean, there were people standing up. Never forget something that pops out in my head specifically is this lady stands up in front of the council and it blew my mind, man.
We missed what you said there. And another thing I got to tell people about Craig, it's surrounded by rocks.
Yeah, crappy service everywhere. Yeah, service.
You got a.
How are we doing there?
We're doing a little bit better. If we have to, is there a landline we can get you at?
Yeah, let me text you my landline on Facebook here in just a second, Sam, and you can call me there.
Yeah, send me a landline and I'll call you.
All right, thank you, man.
All right, thank you. Way too important of an interview for that to be bouncing around like that. That's what happens when you do things live. I'm a professional up in this business. I can handle this. Fantastic. Freaking. No kidding you. When you drive into Craig, Colorado, half of the drive there, you're driving up against just flat rock. There's like rock. And in the wintertime, I mean, you got to watch out for three things, but mainly two. Elk that are the size of cows, and rocks that are boulders that would kill you. And then there's the whole, like, sliding off the side of the road into a ditch that's, 500 feet below you. You know what I'm saying? All right, let me give Shaun a call back here. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Shaun about ready to dial back again. Shaun Hadley. He sent me the wrong one. All right, here we go. Third time's a charm. Craig Apothecary.
Tim.
Yo, got you.
There we go. Nice.
God, that sounds so much better, dude.
Perfect.
From now on, everybody has to be on the show on a landline. I'm just going to make that rule.
Especially if they're in Craig.
Yeah, especially. I told him, man, I was like, the whole way to Craig is all you, one side, like, a little bit steepness.
I pay Verizon for no service. That is certain.
And then the other side, there's a rock wall. And then everywhere else, you're dodging deer and elk the size of cows.
Yes, that live in town.
Exactly, that live in town. This is no kidding. This is people that live in cities are gonna be blown away when I say this. There are constant talks of inner city bow hunts to deal with the deer population in Craig.
They consider bringing in snipers at night to take care of these things. We have a mom, a dad, and a baby who live right by our dispensary, so it's pretty cool.
This is not a joke. This is serious country folk living up in this business. So
the city council actually considered shooting deer in the middle of town.
Yep. One of the most crazy things I've ever covered. And I've covered a lot of crazy shiz up there, dude.
Hell yeah, man.
So when it comes down to opening up a business in a small town like this, I mean, what did it take, and what did how did the people react to you?
You know, it took balls, man. That's what it took. I just had to stand up and do it. And, you know, we just opened. There were no business licenses in Craig. We just had to get a state license, and then we were just open, man. So when we went in for our first city council meeting, you know, I said, hey, my name's Shaun Hadley, and I just opened a medical marijuana store in your town. You know, their faces all dropped, and I'll never forget the look of the entire city council, like, oh, shit, you did? And so, you know, then it was time for the public opinion, man, and that's where things really started to get wild, man. People got up, and I'll never forget the one specific circumstance. This lady stands up and screams, first abortion, and now this, and it was like the shit you see in the movies, man.
First abortion, now this? Oh, my goodness.
And so, you know, a whole lot of rabble-rousing and gavel hitting, and it was crazy shit, man. But, you know, the 4 years since, everything's really chilled out. Attitudes are starting to change. We've proved everything wrong, everything that they brought up during those meetings, all the problems, the worries. None of it's happened. No kids died. Nobody got shot outside my store. We're one of the safest businesses in Craig.
Yeah, man, and I don't doubt that. And it's, I mean, the oversight that you guys have probably had to, you know, present to them, I mean, it's probably more so than almost any other business that is in that city.
You know what's a little surprising, man, is they've really been hands-off. They
Really?
came in, they made sure I was good with all the ordinance type of stuff, and I haven't heard another word from them since. You know, we have regular interactions with the police, which have all been very, very positive. We had like an attempted break-in, and then we had one douche who actually got a couple things from us. But, you know, the cops have been super positive, man. I cannot complain for a second about the law enforcement around here.
I remember the one time, you know, there was that one sort of bigger dude that got in. So you had another time where somebody
I know, that's the time I'm talking about, man.
Okay.
Yeah, back in January.
Yeah, douchebag barely got anything.
Yeah, manager forgot to set the alarm the one night, right?
Yeah. See, it's anyway. That's it's just fortunate that we don't hear more and more of that. We did hear a story out in California, you know, of 2 dispensary owners being shot to death, or not owners, but employees being shot to death. And I mean, I think that sent chills through the industry. But really, I mean, it's no
different than a come and go or you know, any other business, man.
Yeah.
People get shot doing anything.
Some people have
just because it's marijuana that it gets thrown out there like that, man. In my opinion, it's no less safe than any other job you got.
Nobody. Some people had an idea of what you said when you said come and go, and then others were like, "What?"
7-Eleven, we call it come and go in my little town, my neck of the woods.
It is. My ex worked at Come and Go for quite a long time, so, and it's not like it sounds. That's awesome, dude. So with building this dispensary, I mean, I remember the time where you were like, at a time where it was like, you know, you could just open a shop as just like any other business. You just had to get a retail business license. And
sales tax, and that was it. You know, at the time,
that was it.
Like early 2009. We opened in August of 2009, and it was pretty much, they called it the Wild West. Until mid 2010 when Med started getting involved and legislation and all that good stuff.
The boom. That's what it was.
And Craig still hasn't developed any sort of marijuana licensing, so you don't necessarily have to have a license, but their ordinance and things like that are very, very strict.
That's
They've limited it in that way.
That's another thing that we're going to talk about here in a little bit when I get to news, is that, you know, with this audit that has come out here recently, is like this state, and specifically like Denver, doesn't have a single damn clue how many places are legitimately open. It seems like they've lost paperwork as far as, you know, if you're licensed or not, and it's just been a kick in the cojones for us, even though it's not our fault. We did what we needed to do, and they were the ones that dropped the ball.
Well, and what sucks as a business owner, from my point of view, is to pay all this money out there, man, and put your faith in something like this, and then have it fall apart like that. It's a bummer for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I
welcome the regulation. You know, I want it because it gets the shitty people out of here who shouldn't be part of the business, and I'm bummed that the regulation hasn't gone better.
Yeah,
and proven to the world how it can go. You know, if anything, Med fucked up and said, "Oh shit, we almost went bankrupt and almost lost everything," and that doesn't prove much to the world, in my opinion.
And that, like I said earlier today in the show, is that the sky isn't falling, and it's not like we're we're doing fine as an industry. It's the people that are putting this together that are stumbling, and it's like, are you trying to make us look bad? Are you trying to crumble this? One of the biggest.
Well, when they put people in there who have no idea about marijuana in the first place, and they expect them to regulate it just blows my mind how they get these people who just don't have the correct idea of what they're doing, and they expect to be able to do it correctly. I guess it's wild to me.
Yeah, and we need, and I mean, another thing is on top of it. Here's another thing. This weekend, I went to the bank and deposited a check, and unfortunately, I wore my JDR shirt, and I had my JDR hat on, and I got sat down by the banker and asked 20 questions about what I did, and I kind of had to prove to him, that we were just a radio show and we didn't deal anything with like the passing of actual product or anything like that. That we were 100% right to talk about whatever the fuck we want, type of business. And the guy was nice afterwards, but it was the first time that I ran into a situation to where I had to, defend my business being legitimate to a bank. I mean, what's it been like for you on that side?
Oh Christ, that's been the most horrible part of all
like
of
this. Murphy Murray, our co-host that comes in ever so often. She owns Daisy's Edibles and a few other places. 12 accounts she's lost.
Yeah, I've only lost 3. I haven't lost 12, but I lost a personal account that I had for 10 years, man. They took it away because I had something to do with marijuana, which is it's ridiculous, man. It's a very small town here too, so I can't walk up and get a personal account. They're like, "Oh, you're the pot guy. We're not going to give you a bank account." That's
bullshit. And then the fact that we've had to operate how we had in this gray area, I mean, it makes it frustrating. And that's the part where you would like to see the Department of Revenue and other people step up. Yeah, do something. Push, have the legislators, fight for us to have banking reform, which is happening. I mean, it's not happening as much as I'd like to see on a state level. I think Jared Polis and a few other congressmen and representatives are trying to pass bills to where that businesses like this would be covered, but it's not going to happen fast enough. What it needs.
No, I mean, there's not enough of America on board with medical right now for that to get any steam at a federal level. So I'm not putting any faith in that right now. But, cash accounting is a nightmare. And the Department of Revenue wants to see where our money's going, and they want to be able to look at these accounts, and we don't have them. So it's a really weird spot that we're in with that.
Yeah. So you've been open for a while now. Product's been improved. I mean, you feel like you have people on board. One thing that I hear is that it's get really big turnover, man.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm so proud where we're at, man. I started in a closet with 6 plants, and now we've got a 10,000 square foot warehouse with 1,000 plants, and we're killing it, man. The product has gotten better and better. I've learned more and more about the business, man. It's a dream come true. I literally get to live my dream every day of my life, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. And you guys opened up a second store.
We did. We actually purchased a second store in Crested Butte Wellness Center. And that has been going fabulously as well, man.
Which is in a beautiful part of Colorado. You got to kind of like...
North of Gunnison. It's literally like tucked back in there in the mountains. In the winter, the only way in and out is through Gunnison. So it's a really awesome little ski town.
And I'm thinking of a different spot, but like, is it... I mean, you pretty much just have to go circles on a mountain for a while.
Yeah, you can come down through, like, there's some paths that get shut off in the winter. Twerking Hippie knows well about that path, but
she sees.
Yeah, that's the path that's closed in the winter. There's only one way in and out of the town, man. It's a beautiful place. No commercial businesses, so there's no Walmarts, no come and go 7-Elevens. It's a cool little chill spot, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is. It's also one of the coldest damn places in the whole damn state. Forget
it
that.
It is, man. It's freezing. It's like negative 50 sometimes. I couldn't believe it.
I thought Craig was bad enough when I was in Craig, dude, and I was like, shiz, fuck that. But that's cool, and that's cool that shop's open there too, and hopefully it's doing well, and you got good people working for you there.
Yep, man, got a great set of crew there for sure.
Now tonight you have a city council meeting that I'm not exactly sure, what is on the agenda or anything, but you're trying to flip part of your business over, as I think most business owners would right now, try to flip over to the recreational dual package, or at least fully go to recreational. What's the process with that? Like that? What do you got to do?
Well, let's see. In Craig, I have a unique position here because I was grandfathered into my medical store. So my zoning isn't correct. Let's say they allow the recreational, and I'm able to open a recreational store. What would happen in my case is I would more than likely open a second location that would serve as a recreational that would, fit into their ordinances and their zoning. And I would still have my medical store because, medical started this, man, and I love my patients. My patients are sick. They need their good prices. They need their freebies. They need their medical pot. So I would never fully just go recreational and forget medical because that's why I got into this, man. I got into this to help people, not to sell pot recreational, which is a great thing. I'm not downplaying that at all.
It's a business, man, and it's something that should be tapped by people that have built, what we have now. There's no shame in opening a recreational spot and having it succeed.
A town like this, where everything is so alcohol centric, man, it's very important in my opinion.
Dude, how many
get people to kind of pull back from the liquor?
How many liquor licenses are in that damn town? It's crazy.
Just to give a funny example, before they started talking about the debauchery of marijuana, at my last city council meeting I went to, they renewed 3 liquor licenses that very same meeting without even meeting the owners or anything. In my opinion, there's got to be at least 35 liquor licenses. Every single restaurant in town has one. There's probably a dozen liquor stores every 20 feet. We might as well be Wyoming when it comes to that type of stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
One of the only places I've ever been fired for was the Stockman's Liquor.
Those are my neighbors. That's funny.
Tell them I still what up.
I will.
Those cats are crazy.
They are, man, for sure.
So what's on the agenda tonight?
Let's see. So last week, they basically, all these municipalities have until October 1st to basically say yes or no. And they have to say either or. They can't push it off to a vote. Even if they want to vote, they have to say yes or no by October 1st. So what Craig said is, all right, we're going to say no by October 1st. We're going to put together this ordinance banning this. And then we're going to revisit it. We're going to watch what everybody else does, and we're going to come back to this at a later point. But there's no promises of that. They're basically putting out a ban. It is essentially what they're doing right now, and telling everyone that they're going to revisit it without any promises of that. So tonight, they're doing the first reading of the ordinance that they put together to ban recreational marijuana. And we basically just have to go in and argue and show them that there's other options aside from just banning it. There's other things we can do. We can experiment with this. There's only one medical place here in Craig. Why not allow me to go recreational for a year and watch and see how that does?
Yeah.
We're going to go in there and throw options out there at them. Try and get them to take the ban option off the table and fill it up with a bunch of different other options that are good for everyone. Because this is huge, and I think the city council fails to grasp quite the gravity of this situation with recreational marijuana.
Yeah.
The tourism, the people who are going to come to this town, this small little town that exists solely because of power plants and coal mining for marijuana. It's going to turn into a different place, man, and they don't quite get that, and I'm trying to convey that to them tonight.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting, man. People should not have to... Here's the deal. The voters of Colorado, I love home rule. I really do. I love home rule and how localities have the ability to make decisions for themselves. But when it comes down to access of something, there are some very fine lines of access. And whether or not should be allowed. Oh, you can still get it if you drive an hour this way, and that's what's frustrating me. The people of Colorado voted to have access to retail cannabis sales, and
correct.
In my opinion, in places like Northwest Colorado and Craig, where you got to drive 45 minutes, to get to Steamboat, you got to drive an hour and however it is to get to Rifle, which is not the most friendly place either. Forget about going to Dinosaur. And then north, you go to Wyoming, and you don't want to cross that line.
No, hell no. We're kind of tucked up in here in the den of the beast, more or less, man, for sure.
Yeah, Steamboat's gonna end up.
They are going wreck.
They're gonna end up. From what I hear, they're like, I don't know. There's some weird rules that they have, but they're gonna be able to go wreck, and it would suck to see your business lose out on people going over to Steamboat because.
Absolutely, and another big thing that the council's worried about are these DUIDs, man, and so we want to send people an hour away to Steamboat to get their marijuana, and people worried about DUIDs.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that they haven't thought about that I'm going to force them to think about tonight.
That's good, man, and it's good that we have people like you fighting. Yeah, man, just overall improvement of yourself, man, and your image and everything else, man. I've been proud. It's been proud to watch.
Thank you, man.
Watch
I love
you, dude.
It. I really do lead the way for marijuana up here in this corner of the state, man. There's
Clean cut bastard.
Who knows anything about it? So it's great to be that guy, man. Whenever the paper has a question about it, they call me. Whenever the council has a question about it, they call me. I love being that guy, man. I'm passionate about it.
And this is all due respect here. You used to be the responsible dad. You still are the responsible dad, but you were sort of that wook gamer, dude. I mean, you kind of were a wook gamer, and over time I've seen you go from like having that like just this stoner look, which I had it too. We all did, dude. It's the mountain man look. It's how we have to look in Colorado. If you start to grow, you start to be in the cannabis business, you got to look like a wook. And
you go from hippie to businessman.
The other day,
the business.
Yeah, you posted a picture the other day, man. I sort of had a crush on you. I was like, damn, you look good.
I clean up good, right?
You do, man. Now I'm back with the beard. I got to shave a little bit more. So I know you probably don't have a lot more time here. Talking with Shaun Hadley, owner of the Craig Apothecary and Crescent Butte Wellness Center. And yeah, it's good times, man. It's good times to talk to you and get your perspective of things. Is there anything else you got?
Follow us on Facebook. Both my businesses and I all have Facebooks. Love to have you guys on there. And I appreciate the time, Tim. Really, it's been good talking to you, man.
No, man, it's been way too long for us to not sit down and talk. And I saw that there was a city council meeting that went down tonight. And I was like, you know what? I need to get more interviews and get more information and talk. And we're going to get way more news-centric on this. And I was like, man, one of the first things I could do is get a hold of you. I also tried to get a hold of Jessica to talk about the Cash Hyde Foundation that she does there too. So maybe we'll get her on sometime later this week.
I know she'd love it, man. I'm sure she'd totally dig it. And I'd love to be back on and tell you more about what happens at the city council meeting whenever you want me back, man.
Whenever, dude. Just let me know and open mic for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it much, man.
Good times. Have a great day.
Yep, you too, man. Bye-bye.
Shaun Hadley, Craig Apothecary, Crescent Butte Wellness Center, thank you very much for joining us and giving us a little bit of an insight on what actually goes on. I mean, it's really hard. It's difficult to give you the day-to-day feeling of what it is like to be a cannabis business owner in all of this. I mean, you're not just dealing with the business side of it and the rules and all that. That's one thing. That's one thing. But I think some people forget that you got to grow the weed, you got to extract it, you got to make deals to get the edibles to get inside your store. I am quickly finding out more and more, and especially through Murphy, how involved people have to be in their day-to-day business. And the good people and the ones that have been fortunate enough to grow their business and make it bigger, have been able to delegate that responsibility out to other people. Put people in charge of, whatever it is. It's funny, I saw Derek Cummings and Daniel Desai on this Vice report that I posted up on my Facebook page. It's up on my Facebook page. I think it's from today. About 8 minutes in is where Derek talks, and I was like, damn, it hit me right here as being just so proud that him being in this facility that's professional grade. Everything's looking stainless steel. It looks like a professional spot, and talking about how welcomes the regulations to legitimize the industry, to keep people from being scared about it. Now there's a point that comes to where you can be too scared, and that's where the regulations are a little bit overbearing in many of these situations and occasions. But we're hitting it right, and we're hitting it right because of good people, like Shaun, like Derek, like all the other people that we've talked to here on the John Doe Radio Show and not criticized. So it's exciting. I mean, we're gonna see some cool things coming up. All right, where to go next? First, I need a drink. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us here live on the John Doe Radio Show. I guess one of the first things we should jump into and talk about with the news today being there a lot of Colorado news out this weekend about the audits and people being ticked off and devastating audit of medical marijuana oversight. I'm going to read a few articles to you, and some of them say the same thing, but they're just from different perspectives, from different sources, from different writers, and each one of them picking up, it seems, on different portions of these audits. So, did I get that? I don't think I did. All right. Also some Florida news. All right, we got Colorado news. A story from Florida. Federal bill increasing penalties on people for growing on public lands. Year after year after year, something like that comes up. Kentucky lawmakers trying to make medical marijuana put into place. Governor Maggie Hassan in New England. Pretty sure New England. Why did I get that? Why did I have a brain fart there? Anyway, has until Friday to sign legislation to make 19 states to include medical marijuana. Again, I don't know if this is the same thing or not, but this news hitting the AP here yesterday, and I saw a few stories out of it, and I didn't get a chance to contact my cousin out in Arkansas. Unfortunately, his grandpa passed away, and he's been a little bit busy, so big ups to you, Joe. Hope you're keeping your head up. Arkansas Attorney General again rejected wording of a proposed initiated act that would legalize medical marijuana in the state. McDaniel rejected the proposal in an opinion Monday that says the proposal by Arkansans for responsible medicine contains ambiguities. McDaniel's opinion says the proposed measure isn't clear enough about whether patients could grow their own marijuana at home. The opinion also says there's contradictory language in the proposal regarding nonprofit dispensaries. Attorney David Couch for Why is it a portion of my family lives here in Arkansas, and I cannot say that damn fucking word? Arkansans? It's not like Parkinson. For responsible medicine said he plans to address the issues McDaniel raised and resubmit a similar proposal. The measure must be certified by McDaniel before the group can begin gathering signatures to be on ballot in 2014. So continued frustration there. Arkansas. Hey, that dang old. What's on that dang old? Damn it, I can't bring back the boomhauer. Why is that? Let's drop that dang old. I can't do it, man, especially with the voice all jacked up. Drop that dang old wrench from the bottom of that dang old bottom of the compartment and the engine. I can't do it today. Farked the couch. All right, what else do we have here? Dr. Sanjay Gupta. That was a pretty big story over the weekend that you guys hopefully got to check out on ABC's Katie Couric. Man, the most crazy positive thing on cannabis that I've ever seen. I mean, if I didn't want to just waste time not giving you original content here, I would replay that. If you get a chance, please do go check this out. The Katie Couric Show from last Friday with Marijuana Moms. One of the most positive pieces on cannabis I have ever seen. And in fact, Chaz Moore was also on the show which Chaz and Shan Moore have been on the show before. Chaz has this crazy rare thing to where he's like got this flutter to where it's, it makes it hard for him to, he has these attacks where it makes it hard for him to breathe. They become painful. The dude takes one hit of weed, one dab, and he's perfectly fine. And it blew Dr. Sanjay Gupta away. It changed it had a huge impact on how Sanjay Gupta looked at marijuana. and how he feels it needs to be changed. It's crazy. So another one of them situations to where I was extremely, extremely proud of people around me. I mean, Georgia in the audience talking about how, her being a runner and not even, inhaling cannabis, but using cannabis topicals rather than steroids and injections, and then being able to run a half marathon. I mean, hell yeah. It's awesome, man. Those are the great stories. And it's hard? It's for the media to portray us in any sort of bad light at all. I mean, you gotta have some dumbass, half-assed, cherry-picked study to make us look bad anymore, because it's not there. And like Georgia talked about on her show yesterday, Georgia Edson, 7 o'clock, iCannabisRadio.com. Like she talked about it, the changing idea of all this, how it's all become this mainstream situation to where the positiveness of this is being changed. And she mentioned a few times Katie Kirk had said, "Oh, I feel so lame," or that's not the word she used, or whatever. And it's like, you can tell, you can feel it oozing out of people, the change and the lies and the bullshit that they've been fed to for years now being pulled out of them, and it makes them uncomfortable sometimes. Because why would you feel comfortable after being told something your entire life? Why would you now feel okay with, all right, I'm going to go right into that. It's cool. No, we're humans. We develop our own ways of thinking about things. We develop stigmas. And just the fact that some of this is the fact that this is changing in such a far-reaching manner lately is crazy. I mean, we saw it here on the West Coast for years and years and years. And when I first started the John Doe Radio Show, one of the first things that I started to really notice and get was that there was just this divide between the East and the West Coast. And not just in the gangster rap scene. Kidding. But also because we just had it here. And there was just this just pushback on the East Coast. Like the East Coast thought we were just crazy. We had this reefer madness. And then medical marijuana laws started to change. Medical marijuana states began overflowing here in the West. And then we'd cherry pick here on the East Coast. Maybe not some of the best laws that we could want, but still giving people an idea, planting a seed to where we are at now. And it's been beautiful, beautiful, beautiful to watch. And in fact, something that I was thinking about this weekend is the dab culture. Dab culture has helped proliferate cannabis, and the popularity of it, and just this new rejuvenation of it. Oh, it's not just this old flower, that we're smoking. I mean, dab culture, you could see it working at a glass shop. You could just tell how much it was like this just cascade, this avalanche, this waterfall of all of a sudden the East Coast was starting to catch on to dabs. And boom, starts exploding. And now you have the 710 cup, the High Times cup. I saw more people from the East Coast, Texas, other places where you'd be like, what? Than I ever have seen inside this city at any cannabis event. And it was awesome. And it's cool being able to be where I'm at and do what I'm able to do every day and pay attention to that, because I see patterns like that. I get to understand those things that come around and analyze that, It sucks that sometimes my personal bullshit and other things, that I pull on Facebook and other things can overshadow that. But, the fortunate spot that I've been in here, has allowed me to be able to sit down and talk with you guys and those that trust me, to give you this insight into what's going on, to kind of say, hey, this is what I see as a pattern, And for the most part, it feels like, a lot of people have really trusted that and have really caught on to that and have really enjoyed that. And I do appreciate you guys for allowing me to have that voice to bring that to you. Because it's crazy to watch all this change. watching the past year, just nuts. Leading up to the Cannabis Cup, we all knew that everything was going to start to explode. And ever since the Cannabis Cup, I mean, everything seems normal here as far as cannabis. The toking and whatever. What's crazy is that here's something else interesting. What's crazy is that people from out of state come in and they just think that they can blow it up. You know what I'm saying? Which maybe we gave the wrong idea, an example of smoking in public and the Capitol front steps and stuff like that. Yeah. But we've entered into a certain etiquette here in Colorado with dabs and the culture and where not to smoke and where to smoke. You know, I mean, really, it's sort of like that situation to where before, if you sat down and you asked somebody, hey, can I smoke this doobie? Chances are they were going to be like, no. Or, you know, they could call the cops on you. They could be a cop. But now it's in that situation that, yeah, you can smoke that doobie inside of, you know, not publicly I'm talking about, but maybe in an area or, you know, somewhere where you and your friends are. You know, there's this point and they're like, wait, where is it cool to toke? Has become this sort of etiquette thing. And what's funny is, I don't mean to be like hateful or say anything bad about people that have come from out of state and whatever, but there's this sort of situation to where people that come from out of state and they're like just lay their shiz all over the place and then, hey, look, what's up? We're in Colorado. It's fucking awesome. Which is cool. I'm glad that you get to experience that. I love it, man. I sort of feel like we pulled the same bullshit in Las Vegas when I went to Las Vegas last August in the hotel room, you know, acting like idiots, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, being reminded by police, look, your asshats aren't in Colorado. There's still rules here. So maybe the same kind of situation. Just think about it, shiz a little bit. So, and we can all have fun. Weird, crazy thing is like the hotels that are gonna be like, yeah, come in, you can smoke. It's gonna be awesome. Ay. I went off on a little tangent there. It is beautiful. What is this? But didn't they just call BHO a designer drug? That's not good attention. What do you mean, can a chef? Who called BHO a designer drug? By the way, you can join us in chat. Holy cow, Danny's in here. By the way, you can join us in chat. Danny, I hope you heard my apologies again of me being complete asshat, and I apologize. I put things just shouldn't even have said what I said the way that I said it. Anyway, Oakland locked up. Oakland did. Well, see, here's another thing. Like, and I mean, that's not the they had a BHO special. Oh, I know what you're talking about. The locked up and where they had the guy in jail, in prison for killing somebody. Was it for maiming somebody? Yeah, I haven't got to watch that. I really would like to get to watch that. That's interesting. And see, that just goes to prove to you how many people are paying attention to exactly what we're doing. And I know I am missing out. I've been so busy lately with craziness. But that's what I'm talking about, is that this mainstream of everything, and including dabs. I mean, I would say, just like I said, and stick with it, that the proliferation of dabs has spread this sort of culture and opened up the East Coast a little bit more, you know, to being comfortable with what you're doing, just because it's a brand new thing, you know, and people coming out of the closet having fun. Wow. That's crazy. Also, if you'll remember, I mean, I think it was last week or the week before, the DEA coming out with a statement saying how butane hash oil is the crack cocaine of marijuana. That's a little fart right there. Another story being picked up that is something that, you know, that not a lot of people really think about outside of our industry now that the mainstream is going to start telling everyone about. E-cigarette vaporizers being used for illegal purposes. Like, when I stand at the light rail, stories from the light rail. Last week when I was going home from the light rail, I was standing there and taking a hit off of my... There's an empty chair over there. I just noticed. Let me say. I was standing there at the light rail, just like what I was talking about earlier about maybe stoner etiquette or whatever. People at the light rail don't give a shiz whether or not they go and smoke off into the corner where they're supposed to smoke. And it's like everybody and their mother is smoking at the light rail, cigarettes. It's crazy. And it's the number one place for people to go up and ask, hey, you got a cigarette? Can I bum a cigarette? Like, dude. So sometimes I'll get off the light rail and just rip on my E thing. And I like ripping on my... where is it? I don't know if I have it today. I'm ripping on my purple Atmos RX. Just loving life. Right home from light rail, checking out the yoga pants. And also the crazy people that... You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed at the same people you see at certain light rail stops. I think that's their home. Anyway, I'm hitting my e-vape thing. And like all of a sudden I turn around and there's this like RTD transit cop just sitting there staring at me. Like just staring me down. And I like did that little smoke came out. It's like, oh shiz. Turned around, sort of like pretended like it was an e-cigarette. Walked over by some dude that was smoking. Took another drag, light drag, nonchalantly, put it in my pocket. And yeah, made me realize that, look, be careful, okay? Because fine is maybe not necessarily worth it. Having to either you deal with the fine, or you either plead guilty, or if you don't plead guilty, there's a good possibility they're going to throw you in jail for a couple days for public smoking here in Denver. Stupid, but don't ask me. All right. Due to a time crunch, we're gonna get into this these Colorado rules and all these craziness that's gonna happen. Speculation, stakeholders meeting, work groups. Here's the thing: as we talk about all this and get into this, if you would like to give input for these rules, the Marijuana Enforcement Division, DOR, retail rules, do not wait until the public opinion period that is coming later on. That will be far too late for any sort of input to for you to have. Contact your legislators, contact the people at the DOR, and more, in fact, I'm going to get Jessica LaRue, twirling hippie, in here to sit down and talk about some of these things in her awesomely blunt way of doing things. I don't think anybody dropped more F-bombs at the business symposium than her the other night. Every one of them well-placed and right. But we'll get her in here to talk about these rule-making and all this stuff and the process with it. But just, it's going to be hard and fast the next month or two. All right? Due to a time crunch, Marijuana Enforcement Division and Department of Revenue released emergency rules, as we all know, on July 1st, leaving the permanent regulations to be developed throughout the summer. Immediately after the rules were released, the state allowed members of the public and local authorities to apply for positions in stakeholders' working groups, which would help form permanent regulations. Which, by the way, RX Mary Jane and Jessica LaRue on these two panels also, which both are good friends, and we'll be very, very, very plugged in and in touch with them. The work groups met last week and will be assembling again in the coming days and over the next coming weeks in preparation for formal hearings the week of August 19th. The groups each contain about 10 to 15 individuals with range of backgrounds, including DOR, Med, Division of Gaming staffers, cannabis business owners, and marijuana activists, Meetings are open to the public and are each designed to consider a specific area of regulation. Schedules are as follows. The stakeholder working groups will meet according to this. Licensing, licensed premises, transportation, and storage working group happens July 17th at the Ralph L. Carr, Colorado Judicial Center. By the way, if you need to find out any of this information, I know you guys are probably not writing this down right now, but this is available on the Department of Revenue Marijuana Enforcement Division's website. It's also available on the awesome and always informative Denver Westwards page under the latest word. Wax Jones posted this up. Thank you very much, Wax Jones. July 25th, July 17th, and July 25th. And the second one is at the Marijuana Enforcement Division. The licensed entities and inventory tracking working group. So how inventory tracking, all that, the seed to sale, which we'll talk about more here in a minute, and how that's going to be done, and how it's like, seems like they're doing away because the Department of Revenue and the Med and the CDPHE can't seem to do a good job with all this. It seems that this whole like seed to sale leniency is starting to come into play because the industry has shown it can police itself decently well. But still, be prepared for some huge sledgehammers to come down. I have made a habit of releasing rumor that I've heard multiple times in the past, and I have heard yet again the same rumor this past weekend. I'm not going to repeat the names though, but I just hope everybody comes out of it maybe unscathed as possible. So it's definitely that 70 count indictment we dealt with a couple weeks ago is not going to be the last, and there's something coming, from what I understand, soon. Record keeping and enforcement work group. By the way, that labeling and I skipped over. Licensing, licensed premises happens July 17th, July 25th. Licensed entities and inventory tracking work group July 18th and July 29th. Labeling, packaging, product safety, and advertising work group July 23rd and August 1st. Record keeping and enforcement work group July 24th and July 31st. And the medical differentiation working group, which I would expect to talk, in my opinion, this is just me thinking, from randomness, I haven't heard anything. I would expect that it talks of slicing out medical marijuana from the situation comes into play, which really can't happen because it's built into the Colorado Constitution. But I think there's going to be a real big push in certain areas, including Denver, to completely do away, like Denver doing away with medical marijuana and licensing medical marijuana and just having retail shops, which sounds crazy, but it's something that's come up and it's something that a lot of people are trying to push for. Jessica LaRue says they're making subtle adjustments to various things, and in her own great fashion, anal, pedantic type stuff. Now regulations may be released as early as August 16th or as late as August 20th, the first day of formal hearings. According to the minutes of each working group, meetings will be available via the Department of Revenue Amendment 64 website, and the full list of group members can be found online too. Let me see. Let's see here. I'll read you these. Louis Koski, Marijuana Enforcement Division. Adrian Russman, Governor's Office. Judy Steele. She is the lady that does excises and licenses for the city and county of Denver. If you've had to get a permit, you know her. Melanie Snyder from the Attorney General's Office. Chris Olson, County Sheriff's. Brenda Davis, Colorado Division of Gaming. Jeff Gard, who's an attorney. Brooke Gehring, medical marijuana industry business owner. Meg Collins, Cannabis Alliance. Colin Kennedy from Colorado Communique LLC. Mark Belkin, which is a United Food and it's the union. And trust me, unions are having a huge impact in all this here. Holy crap. The whole unionization of marijuana here in Colorado businesses is going fast. It's happening quick, and it seems like something that's not going to be stopped. So that's more stuff that we'll talk about. We'll get the guy from the union in here and discuss with him more and more. Let's see here. The licensed entities and inventory tracking work group. Chair Ron Camerzel with the Department of Revenue. Callie King with the Governor's Office. John V, whoever the heck he is, he's with the Department of Revenue. Matt Huron, medical marijuana industry business owner. Matt Huron is a large business owner. Jessica LaRue, as we just told you, twirling hippie, medical marijuana business owner, and obviously activist. Ron Nixon, consumer advocate. Eric Bergman, Colorado Counties. Anne Marie Jensen, Jensen Public Affairs, representing the Colorado Association of the Chiefs of Police. Tom Raines, Colorado District Attorney's Office. Jen Murray with Can Labs, which, never mind. Amy Poinsett from MJ Freeway. Mike Elliott and Norton Arbelays. Medical Marijuana Industry Group and Compliance Officer. Norton, I think, also owns River Rock, I think. Rob Shapiro with the Attorney General's Office. Big name. Chairing another group is Hank Hassler, Marijuana Enforcement Division. Callie King. Kevin Bomber. Colorado Municipal League. Medical Marijuana Industry owner Kevin Fisher. Mitch Murray, Colorado Springs District Attorney. Beverly Bookout, Boulder Police Officer. Melanie Snyder, Attorney General's Office. Mark Slaw, Medical Marijuana Industry Compliance Officer. Joel Russman, Attorney. Stuart Zion. I mean, basically, there's just a bunch of attorneys and people from the Governor's Office. I don't see really anyone. I see Laura Borgelt from the Associate Professor at University of Colorado Clinical Pharmacy and Family Medicine Department. And really the only person I'm seeing on here that's like any type of substance abuse, whatever, is Dr. Paula Riggs, Professor of Psychiatry and Director of Division of Substance Dependence, University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus. Which is interesting because, well, I mean, a lot of these people are still... I mean, these are business owners and people that are law, which, I mean, the people that are part of law, I think are starting to realize that they can't get away with as much as they would like to get away with. So in doing so, they're going to fumble if they try and push too far. So in my mind, they want responsible regulation, but at the same time know that they're not going to get everything that they want, so we're more willing to work with us. And it does surprise me to not see more substance abuse people on this group. That's interesting. Lots of people I've never really heard of. It'd be interesting. And also public hearings, formal public hearings going to be held. But as I said, if you wait and don't go to these meetings and don't have some sort of say, because as I said, these meetings are open to the public. If you don't go and do them, and this goes for not just here in Colorado, this goes for other states. I mean, Washington and other places. I mean, fight for your voice, fight for your right, and fight for what the people voted for. Formal public hearings held on August 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Hearings begin at 9 and at 5 with an hour break for lunch, which would be fantastic right now. I'd love an hour break. Hearings will be held in Old Supreme Court Chamber at the state capitol in Denver, which is a fantastic building. Just don't expect to get any sort of cell service while you're inside that location. Seriously. You walk into this place and there's like phone dead. It's in the middle of a marble building. It's like feet and feet and feet and feet of marble building. All right. Switch it up a little bit and talk about recreational sales being banned. Although Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper signed several historic measures to implement marijuana legalization in the state, establishing Colorado as the world's first legal, regulated, and taxed marijuana market for adults back in May, many of the state's cities are banning retail legal weed. Excuse me. On Tuesday, Colorado Springs, the state's second largest city, is expected to vote to ban retail recreational stores. The Associated Press reports 4 of 9 Colorado Springs City Council members have already said they will vote against retail weed stores. But even if legal marijuana sales are approved, Mayor Stephen Bach has vowed to veto recreational pot shops in the city limits. I hope they know that the people of Colorado Springs voted for Amendment 64. Tyrants. What we talked about before. 1 or 2 people standing in the way of progress. Just being asshats. That's a great headline off to the side. Most popular in Huffington Post. Subway worker puts his penis on bread. Another freezes urine at work. Jesus. Criminy. Never eating fast food again. Mayor Steve Bach, like we said, vowed to veto it just because he's an asshat. City Council could just ban recreational marijuana sales altogether or allow marijuana sales, but also pass a moratorium on opening pot shops until after Colorado voters weigh in on approving tax rates for recreational marijuana in the state this November. But according to the Gazette, Bach has said he'd even veto the moratorium option. This is so important to our community and in our best interest that I will respectfully need to veto anything short of opting out, Bach said in a Gazette report. Why? Like, what are you so afraid of? What's the big issue? Recreational pot sales in Colorado cities that opt in can begin on January 1st, 2014. There was argument at the business symposium on Friday, and I think it's because people just didn't understand what the hell they were talking about. As far as I understand, all medical marijuana product, if you choose to flip into a recreational situation, including your plants and dried bud, edibles, all flip to recreational. So there was some talk about how stores weren't going to be open on January 1st because how were they going to chop down their plants and then have something ready by then? I don't know, just craziness being talked about. People trying to throw... Rob Corey assured everyone that there will be retail stores open on January 1st. And another concern was that why there wouldn't be retail stores open on January 1st is because of what we've been talking about this whole time. And one of the main points of today's show, and we're still yet to get into, is that these local municipalities and these licenses still haven't been issued. I mean, people are worried that it will take too long for locals to issue licenses for shops to be open on the 1st. It's mandated by law that they are open on the 1st. Mandated they issue licenses within 90 days. So, quite a lot of fear-mongering on this business symposium on Friday. I'm getting a copy of it from somebody that taped the whole thing, and I'll put it up on the John Doe Radio Show page, johndoeradio.com, whenever I get a chance for it. It was interesting when I got up and stood up and said something. They were like, you didn't have a question. No, I had a statement. Just straighten out whatever the hell y'all were talking about. Colorado Springs likely going to be one of more than 2 dozen should say, Colorado cities that have banned recreational marijuana sales. Even cities like Denver, which approved recreational marijuana sales, are also considering longer moratoriums on new pot business licenses than the state requires. Denver Mayor Hancock, a vocal opponent of legal recreational marijuana, recommended a 2-year moratorium on pot shops, a ban on pot clubs, and on public consumption. That's not going to happen, Michael Hancock. Should the 2-year moratorium pass, only existing medical marijuana dispensaries would be able to apply for the license, which will allow them to sell both medical and recreational during that period and create a monopoly and be a bunch of bullshiz. Shut your Hancock. I think a number of localities are deciding prematurely to prohibit these businesses. Mason Tvert, Communications Director for the Marijuana Policy Project and key player in the marijuana legalization effort in Colorado and overall homie OG in this game, said to Bloomberg Business Week, if enough localities are banning these businesses, it increases the possibility that a black market for marijuana will continue to exist. Colorado voters passed Amendment 64 in November, making limited sales, blah, 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 blah. Colorado Department of Revenue released a detailed report earlier this month when the rules, licensing, State Department report sets very specific rules on how it should be operated. Goes on to talk about how the rules are going to be labeling, warnings, people who can buy it. If you don't have an ID in Colorado, you can only buy a quarter. Colorado's 271 municipalities and 64 counties must decide by October 1st as to whether they will allow for legal recreational marijuana sales. October 1st. Oh, my ear just popped. I got an ear pop problem right now. What the hell? It's not cool. Oh, there we go. That hurt. This stupid cold. Punch me in the face. Anybody still hanging with us? Giving you good news here on the John Doe Radio Show. Is someone in the room with Tim? Danny, is someone in the room with me? No, nobody's in the room with me. We got this. Should we do a pan? Pan around in a panorama. I know, it's too bad, Danny. Did you hear? I hope you heard what I mentioned earlier. I agree. Made a few mistakes this weekend. Not saying that Bike is gone forever, but if he chooses to sit down and have a conversation, I'm definitely willing to sit down and talk. So. Today's going great. I do get misribbed by Bike, but I think we're having quite a good time. Unblock Kevin. Who did I block? I just blocked a bunch. I blocked a bunch of situations that I didn't want to have cause a bigger train wreck, and I felt like a wall needed to be put up in order for things not to get worse. So, and I think I did that. I've recovered, and I've made a few promises to some people about a few things, and retry and restart this whole thing again. But other than that, that's inside baseball for people, and that's stuff that just important. Danny's telling me I burned some pretty nice bridges. Did I burn bridges with all of you, Danny? That's a question I'll ask live here on the air. And it's fair to be able to be honest with myself and be honest with everybody else. Before we get into some more news in this situation. An unfortunate thing is that I've become quite good at being human and making epic human mistakes, and that becomes frustrating. I talked with Danny for a while, and he was obviously very ticked off at me. I probably should have let him talk a little bit more. I talked with April, talked with Bobby, and I talked with Chloe. And yeah, I can assume that there's probably not going to be a John Doe too much of anything involved in professional parts of, High Times and probably a few other situations that, yeah, I do regret that I went ahead and went about things the wrong way completely. So I do. I feel bad about it. I feel horrible. And had made great strides. Had made great strides to be able to do things. And I think that we were at that point. If maybe, if Tim, you would have just shut up and taken a calm step and, maybe said, hey, I've known you guys for a while. I've known you for a while. I've done this. And champion yourself rather than just expect something, then we'd probably be at a better spot. But that's where I learned. That's where I am one of the biggest bullheaded motherfuckers you will ever meet in your entire life, and I hate it, and I absolutely love it, and it becomes a burden sometimes. But at the same time, I also know I'm human, and I'll continue to be human, unless somebody wants to cyborg me, because I'm perfectly fine with becoming cyborg, super human dude. Because that would be just awesome. Wolverine crossed with the $10 million man or whatever the hell, that $20 million man. I don't know. I didn't watch that show. I'm too young for that. So, all right. Where am I at? Not sure what else we'll get to today. Jeez, man. Let's finish up the Colorado stuff that I had to talk about. That way we don't have to keep going into it. Story after story after story about devastating medical marijuana oversight. This story probably one of the... Let's see, is it this one? I think it's this one. This is probably the most damaging one that I saw, just simply because it's probably freaked people out of oh my God, we don't know what we're doing. Lack of oversight. Let's see. Although Denver is perceived as a national leader in its regulation for medical marijuana, an audit release found serious problems with how the city licenses, tracks, and manages the booming medical marijuana industry. Denver has the most medical dispensaries in the state, but the city's oversight has been ineffective, inefficient, and possesses substantive risks to the city, according to a report Denver auditor Dennis Gallagher calls devastating. I mean, this is this has been over a week that this has unfolded, and every day something new comes out, and to be devastating. Denver auditor, devastating. Lack of oversight potentially cost the city millions in lost tax revenue and put neighborhoods and citizens at risk, said one member of the audit community. How much so a risk? That's to be questioned. City officials didn't even know how many medical marijuana establishments operated in Denver and could not provide a map of their locations, according to the report that offered 20 recommendations for the City Department of Excise and License to improve the system. Let's repeat that. How much we've talked about the seed to sale, the tracking, the being licensed, how much I've bitched and moaned about not being able to get a license myself, how much other people have bitched and moaned not having given a license. I guess you didn't need one. Because they have no clue who has one and who... Still to this day, 3 years, people have applied for a license and still not been answered. It's crazy. And that is not our fault. That is not our fault on our side. We did not bankrupt the system. We did not put people in charge that failed. And in fact, we want people in charge that are not going to fail us, that are going to do us right and do things responsibly. I hear it time and time again from leaders in our industry, including like what Derek said when he was talking to that Vice report, that we want good regulation. We want proper regulation. It helps us. It keeps the feds out. It helps set a standard, and it needs to be there. And the Department of Revenue, the CDPHE, is failing us. They are failing our industry, and they are giving us a black eye that could seriously damage the movement and the cause from here forward. I mean, it's that serious. Just because people here in Colorado aren't freaking out about it, which they are more and more now, doesn't mean that this is going to not catch on in the future for other places and make it headline news all over. And who's to say that it hasn't already? I mean, it's scary. It's scary to think that the regulators are failing so horribly bad. My nose is itching. Fecal mites. I shouldn't have touched that bud, that train wreck I smoked, and not washed my hands. The report cited incomplete, inaccurate, or inaccessible records, lack of formal processes or policies for licensing, poor coordination between the city and the State Department of Revenue, unenforced deadlines for key steps in the licensing process, and poor management and staffing. You know, I just realized, too, is I'm never going to be allowed in a High Times Cannabis Cup event again. Damn. It almost makes me want to cry. Ladies and gentlemen, I do this show for a purpose, to educate you on many levels, including personal levels, of what not to do and what to do. Nass Hattery. Perfect song to come up right now. That just made me stop in my tracks. Like, seriously, stopped me directly in my tracks right there. Not that I hadn't thought about it before that, but just seriously, like, the report cited incomplete. It's not even funny. Report cited incomplete, inaccurate, or inaccessible records, lack of formal processes or policies for licensing. Another thing. Never mind. I'll maybe say something in a second about that. Poor condition between the city and the State Department of Revenue. Unenforced deadlines for key steps in the licensing process, and poor management and staffing. Jeffrey Hart asked Denver... This is weird how they put this. Do you have any assurance of safety of our children in our neighborhoods? Audit committee member Jeffrey Hart asked Excise and License Director Tom Downey in a meeting. Have we seen problems? And in fact, see, this is what sucks, is that this happens and then it goes back. It completely undermines every single report that's come out that says dispensaries have made areas safer. Not only here in Denver, Los Angeles, Washington, even though it necessarily, you know, the argument there is not the same here. That argument has been that we should have these because they make places safer. Look at here, look at here, look at here. We have phenomenal police officers, Downey said. I can swear on their behalf that they are doing everything to protect the citizens. And then... he deferred it to the police. Obviously, that's going to be something. The police are doing the best that they can. I love it. Hey, played the game. And then the guy comes back. I was asking about your department. Yes, we are doing everything we can do to ensure that We need to do more. We have done everything we can with limited resources and are asking for more resources. Your resources have failed, though. Like, don't say that you need more. You just need somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing. That's the problem. Downey said his department was reeling, as was the rest of the city, from budget cuts because of revenue shortfalls and increase in expenses. Blah 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 blah. Hancock, in a statement, called the audit an insightful review. As regulatory framework for medical marijuana was unprecedented at the time of initiation, we are learning lessons and turning them into opportunities to create a better, more efficient system moving forward. Paul Stanford from THCF keeps walking back and forth too. He said in the coming months, the city will fix a loophole in state regulations so that dispensaries operating in Denver must have a Denver license, streamline process, and seek sufficient funding through fees and a proposed sales tax to ensure adequate staffing and technology. Here's the thing. I'm not going to vote for the 10 and 15% sales tax that comes down here in Colorado, voters. But I may think about voting for this 5% tax, 5-10% tax, whatever the fuck it is, here in Denver in order to help make sure that the program has enough money and nobody bitches about the program not having enough money. It's not... I was okay with being taxed, and I was okay sort of to a point with having a 15% tax before we saw the numbers. Fine, if we need to start raise more money and we needed to do an investment campaign and that's what we needed to do, fine, I was okay with that. But now that we've seen the numbers, $2 billion a year estimated in Colorado alone, $200 to $500 in taxes, those numbers are there for what needs to be covered. That's bullshit. I'm not going to allow you to take money out of my pocket that's well-deserved just to pad your coffers for something you are scared of or feel that there is a public interest. I'm not going to pay for this dude that thinks that stoners are going to be shooting up the next thing to be the head of the health studying of all this in Denver. To be the lead weed doctor. Fuck that. I'm not down for that. And in literally $3 million paycheck at that, I could do what he does. $3 million. Get the fuck out of here. And there's no way that you should... There is no way that you should allow this to happen either. If you feel that 10, 15% plus the 5% and then plus the maybe the whatever the heck 15% that Boulder's talking about, I mean, if you feel that's something that's fair, you really do feel that that's something that's fair, I haven't heard one argument. The only argument that I've heard that it's fair that we do that is that so we have the money to build and do it well and pass on to the rest of the nation. No, the only thing that's going to happen with that money is it's going to get stolen, just like it has year after year after year. Fees and everything else for medical marijuana being stolen and taken and used for the general fund, when specifically it says in our Colorado Constitution that you can't do that with anything. Yet it's a normal thing you could do. Or that they do. Do. But that's what's going to happen. And I refuse to let them pocket that. No. Denver City Councilman Charlie Brown, who heads a committee devising the rules for the city's retail marijuana system, said the report is disappointing. The money was there and it was what we needed to put the money where our problems were, and we didn't do that. He said, we can't let this happen again, and we are getting ready for phase 2. The city's audit comes 4 months after a scathing audit on the Colorado Department of Revenue's regulation of medical marijuana at the state level and an audit of the state health department's patient registry. Smart Colorado, a group opposed to increasing marijuana availability in the state, said in a statement that the audit's findings are why the council should put a moratorium on retail marijuana. Unlike the state, which is bound by Amendment 64 to proceed at a feverish, unrealistic pace to allow retail marijuana to become operational, cities and counties have been granted the option to, all caps, slow down. That's smart, Colorado, the biggest pain in the ass that we have here in Colorado, which really carries no weight except for when the media decides to contact them for some stupid statement. It's like one of like 15 people. Findings of the medical marijuana operational audit: city records and data incomplete, inaccurate, at times inaccessible. Departments lack formal policies, procedures to govern the process. Coordination between city and state for dual licensure has been poor, to say the least. That's why there's people that aren't even legally licensed right now. Deadlines either not established or not enforced in the process. Whoosh. Like we haven't been talking about that for the past 3 years. Process lacks management oversight and adequate staffing. Fee was established arbitrarily. Key information has not been kept up to date as policies evolve. Boom. Arbitrary fee. It's the fact that you have to pay more to open a cannabis business than a what are those things called where you pull the camp? Yeah, that's what it's called. A casino, strip clubs, way higher. Exorbitantly higher. It's insane how much that this industry has had to deal with and how much bullshit that we've been through and met the other side of the line and then now been failed. The government and the state has failed us. Failed us completely. And it's good that, that we're not hearing too many business owners being thrown under the bus with this, but that's who's to say that this investigation crap is not over? Who's to say that there's not going to be this just huge, okay, we failed. We were still looking during that time, and just because we failed, now we're going to take a little bit of the heat off of us and punch you in the cojones as an industry. Hopefully they don't do that. Depends on who they get put in charge of the Department of the Marijuana Enforcement Division. Now that Laura Harris is gone, I still can't figure out whether or not she was trying to be more harsh with the situation or they were looking for someone to be less harsh. Obviously, her statements of that everything's been fixed since the last audit, since we had Dan Hartman, were a bunch of bullshit and meant nothing. I really don't want to get into another Colorado story right now. I got like 10 minutes to go. There's a story if I get to it tomorrow. What is today? It's today Tuesday. Sexpot Radio is on tonight. I'll try and keep this story somehow up, but sometimes things get closed out and I lose my train of thought and anything. Colorado's plan for a comprehensive system to track recreational marijuana from seed to sale won't quite be so comprehensive. The system won't be able to start tracking marijuana until after buds are harvested off the plant. Revelation came after a stakeholder meeting. Basically, finally we're realizing this whole seed to sale thing is bullshit and it can't happen. So, thankfully we are going through this and y'all out there don't have to deal with some of this crap that we do. It's crazy. I'm having a pretty good show, man. I'm feeling it. I'm liking it today, man. Did we do this all by myself back in 2011? When we started this thing, it was just me, 100%. Just mano a mano, el solo, loco. It's crazy. Why is the end of the show liner starting? Still got like 5 minutes. I'll always love you too, Danny. I'm going to have to call Danny and see exactly what kind of damage I caused and where I'm now blacklisted out of the industry. I still stick with my statement that it bums me out that the culture side of education is overshadowed by just massive rips. And that's my own personal opinion. and other things that, you know, I love it. I mean, I love it, and I'm so glad. Here's another thing that I want to add to this without digging myself deeper. I'm so glad that us as an industry have reached this retail point to where now we can have fun with it. So now that you can go into stores and you can see cool, you know, tongue-in-cheek things, you know, if ladies want to help sell buds and everybody's, I mean, that great. I'm cool. I'm fine. I'm fantastic with that. There's a divide that, like, I sort of hit and missed completely and made myself look like a complete douchebag and put my foot in my mouth. So again, I'd like to say sorry. All good. We had a good show today. Anybody still listening? Make sure you check us out, iCannabisRadio.com, Monday through Friday. I know there's still people listening in the on the podcast, because those numbers are just flying. On pace, 20,000 downloads this month. 20 motherfucking downloads, man. I gotta go to my real job. I prefer to do this all day, every day. Grow and sell weed. Can we please get these whole badge situation out? Like for retail marijuana, so I can apply, start to work inside this thing. If someone will hire me, I'll package it. I'll stand there and be a bud tender. I'm a great customer service. Even though it don't seem like I'm that great with customer service, I can say, oh, hey, this dang old bud right here is perfect for you. It's a sativa. It looks great. It's got some nice trachomage to it. I think you would enjoy it very much. No? No feedback from the chat room. Sad. Tomorrow on the John Doe Radio Show, who do we have? Whoa, that's a booty. Open my Facebook, and there it is. Tomorrow on the John Doe Radio Show, I would like to have Chloe Villano on with us. Talk about a business symposium and a changing of licenses and everything that's going on, these rules, the taxes. I've hopefully be able to get her in here. If not, then on the phone. And then on Wednesday, or wait, I'm a day behind. And then on Thursday, I'd like to get Jessica Asplin in here and talk about the Cash Hide Foundation. All right. Have yourselves a great day. You know what? Smile, man. Send out that good vibes. I feel like this whole Mercury and retrograde thing is over, and like now we can finally start to recover and actually act like decent human beings again. That shit's fucked my world. I didn't even believe in that crap, and now I do. It's like if you didn't believe in God and like all of a sudden you die, and then you're standing at the pearly gates, and like you're like, damn, I should have believed. It's like that moment. You know how we do on the JDR. I'm your host, Tony B. No, it's smooth. You know how we do on JDR. I'm your host, Tony B. Meet again tomorrow. Shh. See ya.
The John Doe Radio Show is produced by Charlie Stash Entertainment. The John Doe Radio Show programming is not limited by information, agriculture subjects, and is informational and entertainment purposes only. We specifically include responsible marijuana reform.
Listening to anyone but your mother is
stupid. We accept no responsibility for your actions or misrepresentations, and we do not fully endorse the use of illegal drugs. You are ultimately responsible for yourself.
My.